everybody, what's going on? Walker here with a new tutorial series of Walker Explains. We are going over today the Inventarium. It was asked of me to do a tutorial on the Inventarium because it is kind of a complicated build. And so I said, okay, sure, give me a couple weeks to get it going, and here we are. Alright, so what is the Inventarium? Well, it is a special tool from a Thaumcraft add-on known as Automagy. So for this particular build, you are going to need the latest version of Automagy and the latest version of Thaumcraft 4, both of which will be linked down in the description below. And this is for Minecraft 1.7.10. Okay, so the last version of 1.7 that got released before we went to the horribleness that we know as 1.8. Actually, it's not that bad. What is the Inventarium? The Inventarium is this really cool storage and retrieval system that uses special blocks, golems, chests, and a very special multi-build to retrieve items for you without actually having to go and get them out of the chest. So if you have like a lot of chests, like I have demonstrated right here, what you do is you set up a series of special blocks from Automagy, which I'll go over here in a moment what you need, and you use this special item called the Requisition tome, alright? Which acts very much like an applied energistics terminal. Alright, so I can tell this tome that I want one piece of dirt, and my golem, who is linked to it, will go and get that one piece of dirt for me. Of course, he's a little odd right now. Did you just get yourself caught? Where are you? Ah, there you go. So he goes and retrieves the dirt. And the way I have it set up, I actually have it a little bad here. There should be about one more space here, but he places it into this grate. It goes to, let's see. I only wanted one piece of dirt. Oh, that's right, because I'm not in the area, it linked right back to here. Anyway, we'll show you how to set this up, how to set it up so the golem will retrieve the item, how to set it up so that the golem will put it in a storage container that will transport it to wherever you are waiting, alright? Because the way I have it set up is that depending on where I'm located in this base, and depending on the requisition tome I use, alright, it'll always go to where I am. It's a really cool tool to use, especially if you have a huge array of chests, or even Java barrels, or better chests, or any kind of storage utility, really. This works really awesome for. With the exception, of course, of Applied Energistics, because it has its own internal storage system that would not be compatible with Automagy, to the best of my knowledge. I've never tried it. Maybe you can try it. So what do we need to get this thing set up? How do we set it up? What does each part do? Well, we will learn that together over the next few episodes. I already know how it works, but, you know. Let's start with what we need to get this thing to work. Well, this is going to be the basis of this particular start, this episode, the beginning, part 1 of the Inventarium. What you need to get going. There are quite a bit of different items you need to get this thing set up and working properly. At bare minimum, you need some golems. I recommend Thaumium Advanced Golems, but your mileage may vary. You do need an empty core, at least one. You're going to need at least one for every golem that goes to retrieve items for you, okay? My recommendation is you have your Advanced Thaumium Golems can hold 3 upgrades, so I would put 2 of the air upgrades and 1 of the earth upgrades. The air will increase his speed, which is kind of essential when you're sitting here waiting for delivery. And then the green will increase the amount that the golem can carry. Thaumium golems can carry 32 items at a time. The green upgrade will add, I believe it's 16 to that. And then glasses will increase his visual distance so that he can go further to get items. and the bow tie will also increase his speed. So with 2 of those and 1 of those, he'll usually go fairly quickly to get items. Alright, that's all basic Thaumcraft stuff. You probably should also have a Golem answer spell, and you'll need an infusion table set up, etc., and so on and so forth. That's all basic Thaumcraft stuff. Alright, what do we need to research for the rest of it? Let's go into our Thaumonomicon, and under the Automagy section, when you first start up Automagy, you start with this, Redstone Theory. Okay, and as the branches progress, you go to Red Crystal, Remote Comparator. My recommendation to you is to go right along this tree, all the way up to the Golem linking belt, because you need one of those. You do need crystalline brains, so unlock that. And you need to scan an order brain in order to get the Inventarium. Plus you need to get Talabox. You don't really need the lenses, and you don't actually need a tally box yet. But you might want to consider looking at that and seeing what it does. But you do need to research that so you can unlock Enchanted Paper, which will allow you to come down this branch to the Tenacious Chests, which I highly recommend. We'll see what those do later. The other thing that you need is to unlock these items here. This is the Inventarium Core. This is the Requisition Tome. Condensed Archives. I highly recommend. It's not required, but I highly recommend it. You'll see why. The Scrivener's Oculus. All depends on your mileage and how you store items. We'll see how that works, though. And I would recommend getting the Mercurial Red Crystal unlocked, the Resonating Red Crystal unlocked, and all the way up here, the Signum Entia unlocked, okay? And we'll see why in a future part of this. But the things that you really need is this big old section right here. Get this all done before you start working your way towards the Inventarium. Now then, what items you need to make the Inventarium work? Well, you'll need a few of these Crystalline Brain of Order, alright? Once you research Crystalline Brains, there's different kinds. There's Entropy, Order, Earth, or Terra, Water, Fire, and Air, one for each primal, right? You want Order, okay? And I believe, if I can remember it correctly, you need at least 2. And it just goes into your alchemical construct or your crucible with 10 of the vitreous and 8 ordo, alright? And a zombie brain will spit out one of those. Grab 2 of those. My other recommendation, and you do need it for some things anyway, is to make yourself a ton of red crystal. Red crystal is a great replacement for red stone. I'm not going to go in too much how these work because they are a very basic Automagy item. And if you're watching this video, chances are you've already played around with red crystal anyway. But just know that it is a super awesome upgrade for red stone. And I highly recommend making it, converting as much of your redstone into red crystal as possible. Unless you need it for other recipes. But if you're just using it as redstone wiring, make it red crystal. And that just takes 1 vitreous. So you can already tell you're going to need to melt down a lot of stuff that has vitreous. Glass is recommended. Very quick and easy and cheap. You also are going to need on your arcane work table to make a ton of enchanted paper. I mean, we're talking tons of enchanted paper here. This is also from Automagy, of course, and it is down, down this path here, alright? You pretty much need it to make pretty much everything else. You need it to make the whitelist and blacklist, you need it to make the bound enchanting paper, which you need for future builds, you need it to make enchanting bookshelves, which are not needed, but recommended. Mostly because you need those to make these guys, which I highly recommend. We'll get into what those do later. But it is 5 gold nuggets and 4 pieces of paper with normally 1 point of V on each primal, but depending on your discount cost, it can be much cheaper depending on what kind of cap you have on your wands, okay? That's pretty simple. Make a ton of it, and just keep making more of it, I guess. The next item is known as the remote comparator. Alright? This thing acts just like a normal comparator, except you can add another item from Automagy, which appears I don't have anything set up for. Oh, well, I guess I'll just have to show you. The remote comparator acts just like a normal comparator, but you can also add a crystalline eye to it. There we go. Crystalline eye, which is just a spider eye in your construct with 2 vitreous and 4 senses. What it allows you to do is, instead of having the comparator right next to the item that it's trying to check, like a chest, you could have it way over here with the crystalline eye pointed at this chest, and it will do its job. And I'll just demonstrate that right now for you because I made a mistake and did not do that. So yeah, that's fine. We'll just put that there. I'll put that there, and I'll put some red crystal like that. Okay, and then I'll just get a bunch of dirt. That should be good. It's not good. Oh, well, it would help if I... So I have the remote comparator here. I have this crystalline eye tagged to this chest, which I did by shift and right-clicking on it, and it tells you it's watching that chest, which is 2.24 blocks from me in the overworld, and I plug that in there, and then look at it go. It lights up the red crystal because there are items within that chest, just like a comparator would do if I placed it right next to the chest. So you need a couple of those crystalline eyes, but you do need the remote comparator. Specifically, you need at least one of those. Item frames are basic vanilla Minecraft item. It's just leather with sticks, if you forgot, which I always forget how to make item frames. In your crafting grid, you can use your work table if you want. That just makes, and you need one of those. So you need at least one of these, one of these, one of these, and one chest, which is what that's doing here. All right. We good now? So we need some golems. We need 2 of those, a bunch of red crystal, and at least one of each of these items. And what we're going to do with those is we're going to put these 4, along with one of our ordo brains, in an infusion altar. Okay? The brain acts as the catalyst, all right? And the 4 items act as the infusion items in this array around the center altar. We need the paper across from the chest, and the comparator on the left across from the item frame on the right, okay? And then you need some, how much of those? I had that memorized once upon a time. Here we go. You need 24 Cognito, 8 Machina, 40 Ordo, and 8 Census. Okay? And that is a moderate instability. Make sure for this particular build that you have a very stable infusion altar. Okay? Just make sure it's very stable. And what that will get you is this nice little toy here. The Inventarium core. You cannot have an Inventarium without the core. Alright? Now at this point, we could set up an Inventarium. We have all the ingredients that we need at this point. But it won't do anything for us. So let's keep going and get some of the more other items that we need. Alright? You will need a bunch of these books. They're called Bound Enchanting Paper. Uses a lot more of that enchanted paper with 2 leather and some gold. And it takes about 5 points, 4 points, 5 points of the primals in a table. Alright? Or you can make it with 2 books, 2 gold, and a slime ball with 6 points in a table. Okay? There's 2 ways of making it. But the end result is you take those over here with some Nitor, some scribing tools, 1 book of the bound enchanting paper, just make a bunch of them though, 1 order shard, 1 sliver of air, and 1 Thaumcraft table, okay? With, in this case, 12.75, 4.25, and 25.5. It's about 13.5 and 26. I don't remember the exact values, but there you have it. That gets you what's called an unseen scribe. Okay, so with the unseen scribe, we can now read items that the unseen scribe is attuned to via the Inventarium. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let's see, that Sliver of Air. Right up here, as you can see, all you do is you throw a shard in your table with Perditio, and it'll give you a sliver of whatever that particular shard is made up of. Okay, these things are actually useful for making arcane stone blocks. Using just 1 stone in a sliver gets you 3 instead of, I believe it's 8 with a full thing. I think this is actually cheaper. And you can also make a paving stone of warding much easier than the normal way. So slivers are actually pretty useful. But that gets you what's called an unseen scribe, and you're going to want to make a couple of these. The normal setup I use uses 4 of them, but it all depends on how many different areas you need to be watched. We'll see how that works in a future episode, okay? This item, what is known as the Scrivener's Oculus, is very useful. It sets upon the unseen scribe, and it allows multiple different types of inventories to be read by the unseen scribe. It uses, again, the crystalline eye that points to whatever type of inventory you want, and it can hold up to 8 of those, if I remember correctly. It's made using an eye vendor, nether quartz, gold, ingots in an order crystal cluster with these amounts around it, okay? And it makes a Scrivener's Oculus. It's actually a really useful tool if you have multiple inventory types. We'll see how that's used as well. Next item you need, and you need 1 of these at the bare minimum. Bone meal and enchanted paper. I told you needed a lot of that. We'll get you what's called a runic whitelist. What this thing does is you can use this in various different items in Automagy, such as the greedy chest, or the tally box, the V-reader? No, not the V-reader. Tally box I know works very well with it. And a couple of other items use it as well. And what it does is it acts just like a whitelist for the Automagy items that use it. So like an item filter from Ender.io works very similar to that. Okay, and you just put like, okay, I want only osmium ingots to be read by whatever this whitelist is in. Okay. You need a whoa. Oh shoot. Well, we'll just put that right back there. I made it on accident. But you need 1 of those at the very least. You need a couple of them though if you want to really get this thing like super organized. We'll make at least 1 for the next infusion we need. Remember I told you to make 2 of those brains of Ordo? Alright. What you need is another Eye of Ender, a balance shard, 2 arcane blocks, 2 silverwood planks, 1 piece of amber, 1 runic whitelist, surrounding another brain of Ordo. And this time you need Cognito, Humanus, Lucrum, Machina, Ordo, and Spiritus. I'm pretty sure I got that right. This will make you a Golemic Taskmaster, alright? And you need it in these quantities around. It is, again, a moderate instability. So as long as you got a pretty decently stable table, you should be good. Or altar, sorry. It makes a Taskmaster. This thing links to your Inventarium, and then you link your golems to this, and this is what allows your golems to know where the items are, so that they can go and retrieve them for you, okay? The Unseen Scribe tells the Inventarium where the items are. the Golemic Taskmaster tells the Golems where the items are based upon the Unseen Scribe. It sounds complicated, but it really isn't when you see it in action. Alright, so you good? You good? You still can't do much at this point, because you need one of these, okay? This is called a memory block. You need at least one of these to have a Golemic Taskmaster set up. You need at least 2 of these to use the Inventarium to its maximum potential, okay? So go ahead and just make 2 to begin with, alright? Trust me. You need, for 1, you need 4 iron ingots, you need an order shard, a zombie brain, a glowing amber brick. We're going to look at that in just a second. It's not an amber brick, it's a glowing amber brick. And 2 diamond with a zombie brain in the center, and this amount. For the most part, these recipes are pretty cheap on the V cost, okay? That'll get you 1. Make 2 of them. Now then, let's look at the glowing amber brick, because this is different, than a normal amber brick. Over here, make sure you have that researched as well. It's a simple one. It doesn't cost very much. It is Nitor with 4 amber around it, okay? That makes you a glowing amber. You need one or the other, okay? I have listed 1. If you want to put the solid one in, you can go that route as well. Glowing amber bricks or the block. Glowing amber, okay? So either this one or this one. It's the exact same thing, it's just the aesthetic appearance. Both will work in this recipe, okay? Make 2 of those, though. The memory blocks, alright? The memory block allows the Inventarium to be able to use the Golemic Taskmaster. You can place that down and you can try and link it, but the Inventarium will not recognize it until you have one of these things attached. And again, we'll see how that's used. Okay? Alright, the other thing that you definitely need is one of these things, but you need this first, alright? This is an Avarice Pearl. That's located down here, alright? It is an Ender Pearl with 5 Lucrum. It will make you an Avarice Pearl out of your Construct or your Crucible. And you need at least 1 of those, because you're going to use it in the next recipe. So, you have Golems that can go and get stuff for you. You have the Unseen Scribe, which reads the inventories for you. And you have the Inventarium at its core. But how do you tell the Golems what to retrieve? Well, that's where the next item comes into play. It's called the Requisition tome, alright? And this thing pretty much acts as the central hub for your stuff. Apparently, I don't have this linked. Hold on. Let me get a wand here. I will go into Thaumic Tinkerer. It's right at the beginning. It's already been linked. Oh, I don't have any juice running to it. Oh, alright. We'll show you how that works in a future episode, but Requisition Tome. Pretty much everything that your Unseen Scribe can read and relay to the Inventarium will show up in the tome, alright? And anything your Golems can retrieve, you can tell it to retrieve via the tome. This is like the central part of everything, aside from the Inventarium core itself, alright? And how you make that is, whoa, I slid. In here, on your work table, you're going to need a Primal Charm. Basic Thaumcraft stuff, right? You're going to need a bound enchanting paper. Told you needed more of those too. A runic whitelist. Told you needed another one of those. 2 emerald, an arcane pedestal, and the Avarice Pearl that I just had you make. Okay? That'll make you... This is actually the most expensive one so far with 45, I believe it's 50 Ordo with a normal wand. Pretty darn expensive so far. But that'll get you a Requisition tome. Okay? And that's about it. The only other item you absolutely have to have, okay, I did not place on the Wall of Madness here, is this thing, a Golem Linking Bell, and that's because I ran out of room. The Golem Linking Bell is found up here, after the Golemic Inhibitor, which is also a nice tool to have. but we don't need it right now. The Golem Linking Bell is a diamond, a Golem upgrade order, a block of quartz, and a silverwood log on your Infusion Altar with 4 Humanus, 8 Instrumentum, 16 Ordo, and 4 Spiritus. And this thing works similar to a Golemancer's Bell, but it's specifically for linking to the Golemic Inhibitor and the other one there. Ha! Yeah, the Golemic Taskmaster. Specifically for that, alright? You need at least one. You can't get this working without one. Make it. It's not that bad. It's just that. Alright. The items I recommend you having. I recommend you make these. You need these to make these, alright? The way the Inventarium works is it uses bookshelves to record the storage slots in chests, alright? Each normal bookshelf, let me make sure I'm telling you the truth before I say this, will read 81 slots, okay? And you have to have at least 8 bookshelves, so 8 times 81. That's quite a few of them, right? It'll read quite a few of them. What it means is that with 8 regular bookshelves, you've got 24 chests worth of storage that the Inventarium can read from, okay? Each bookshelf reads 81 slots, and that means each one of these item slots, okay? Each one of them, right? Not one bookshelf per 3 chests, but that's what it works out to, okay? That's kind of limiting. So what I recommend is you make these guys. Each one of these will increase the number of slots that can be read per what they are. And what it is for the Enchanting Bookshelf, which is these ones, each one will read 8 chests worth. And for the Ensorcelled Bookshelves, and I'm not pronouncing that right, but that's the best I can do, sorry, that's 18 chests per each one of those. And at minimum, you need 8. So 8 times 18, that's quite a few. I don't even have the math for that one. But to make them, you need to start here. It is very similar to a normal bookshelf, except it's these bound enchanting papers I told you to make a lot of, with greatwood planks in your table. Okay? To make these, you need 2 of those per every one of these. So if you want to make the 8 of these, you need 16 of those. Plus, you need silverwood planks. Plus, the worst part of it, you need at least 1 enchanted book. It doesn't have to be Protection 1. It doesn't have to be a special enchanted book. It just has to be enchanted. So grab your anvil, get a bunch of levels, and start making 1 level enchanted books. You need 8 of them to make 8 ensorcelled bookshelves. Alright? We will see how that plays a factor in a future part. Okay? The next item I recommend you getting, but it all depends on what you are storing your items in. If you're using like Java and using the Java barrels, it's not quite as needed. But if you're using basic storage chests or something that you can't lock in the item, make a bunch of these. They're not that expensive. They're called Tenacious Chests. They are oak wood planks, 7 of them with a slime ball and a trapdoor in your table. These things are pretty nice. What they do, let me grab one real fast here. Tenacious Chest. What they do is they will keep 1 of the item in the chest, and the golems cannot take that last item. So, and the Inventarium will only read this as holding 63 dirt. What's nice about that is as you know, with empty golems, sorting golems, and other ones, if they don't see that an item is in the chest, they can't sort to it, right? Sorting core golems in particular. So if you have sorting going on, and you just have an empty chest, right, and you have a sorting golem linked to that, he's not going to know to put dirt in there. That's how the sorting core works, right? So this thing will always keep one dirt in here unless you physically take it out yourself. Makes sorting much, much easier. Alright, that's the bare basic of what you need to get an Inventarium up and running with retrieval and inventory reading and the maximum number of inventory slots you can get, okay? That's the bare basic you need. Let's talk about what I recommend you getting now, okay? What I recommend you getting is not a spider pig. What I recommend you getting is a ton of advanced golems, quite a few of them, 4 minimum for retrieval and 1 per section that's being sorted to, okay? You need at least 1 sorting core. You do need a bunch of empty cores. I believe it's empty, right? Or maybe it's a fill core. Ew. I might have lied to you. It's this one. It's a fill core. I lied. It's not so much that I lied, it's that I made a mistake. Up is empty, down is fill. That's what I meant. Fill core. The one that with the arrow pointing down, okay? You need a bunch of those. 4 at minimum if you're going to use the setup that I'm going to show you in a future episode. But depending on how you decide, it's all up to you, alright? The other items I super recommend, depending on how you have this set up, okay? This is kind of tricky. I, as of this recording, have some insider info that the method I'm going to show you for retrieving items and sending them to different areas in your workshop is going to be obsolete. So I'm still going to show you how to do it, because I'm actually kind of proud that I figured it out. And to do that method, let's say you have several different areas in your workshop and you want items to be sent to the area you're in. So I have a requisition tome right here. I actually have to put this V relay back so that I can turn it back on. You're not powering up at all. Why ain't you powering up? Interesting. Well, whatever. This tome isn't working for some reason. Anyway, let's say I'm over here and I want items to be sent to me over here through this magic mirror, which I also recommend you getting a couple of. Well, there's a way of doing that. It's going to require a Signum Entia, some amplified red crystal, a mercurial red crystal, at least a pair of magic mirrors, and a hungry chest, okay? Let's take a look at these. What the Signum... Oh, and not just a Signa Entia, you also need an Oculo Anima, okay? Watching yourself. Let's take a look at these items, okay? What the Signa Entia does is it counts entities. Usually you use it to count how many creatures are in the area, but you can also use it to count yourself. The Ocula Anima, which is made using a crystalline eye in your crucible with some Bestia and Spiritus. This thing is like a sensor. It senses, instead of how much an inventory contains, it senses certain creatures in the area. And you can use it to read yourself. Alright? And we'll see how that works in a future episode. I'm just trying to explain the basics of it. This thing senses when whatever that thing is attuned to is in the area and emits a redstone signal. This amplifies that redstone signal. The mercurial red crystal is super cool. It sends a redstone signal through a magic mirror to another mercurial red crystal, which obtains it via the linked mirror. Okay? Super super cool. We'll see how that plays a factor later on. Okay, I'm going to show you how to set this up to send items to wherever you are. You want to make sure you make one of each of these, along with the paired mirror and a hungry chest, for each area you want the requisition tome to be in for retrieval. Okay? So if you have 3 main parts of your workshop that are far away from each other and you don't want to have to run all the way back to your drop-off point for your golems, where they drop the items off for you, you can set up another requisition tome. All right? That is the bare basics for that setup. Now then, there's one other thing that I did not mention you need. It's very important. All of this stuff, pretty much all of it, runs off of Ordo Centavi. Okay? So you need to have a node stabilizer, a node transducer set up with a node that has Ordo in it, and you need a couple of V relays. All right? These things will not work unless they get Ordo sent to them, okay? Which is why this tome isn't working, because it's not sending that Ordo relay down here for some reason. Notice the book's closed and I can't get it to open. You need at least one of these guys, and I would recommend having at least a decent amount of Ordo, because I don't remember how much it needs in Centavi, and it actually doesn't tell you, I do not believe. Tally box, unseen scribe. Yeah, it just says Ordo V by V relay. Say it doesn't tell you how much it needs. It might not need a lot, but I recommend if you're going to have a bunch of these all over the place, just make sure either you have a big node or you have a couple of them, okay? And have a ton of relays, all right? So that's pretty much it for the setup, okay? For what you need to get set up. Next time, we're going to learn how to get this set up. We're going to learn how to get this set up with a retrieval golem, and we're going to learn how the unseen scribe works. And I think if we have time, we'll also just do a very quick demonstration of the requisition tome as well. We're going to go over all of it anyway, but the very basic you need is this and these. At least one chest and an unseen scribe, okay? So that's the very basic, and that's what we're going to go over in the next part of this series, all right? So, we will see you on part 2. Make sure you have all the items you need, and we will get set up, all right? So we'll see you then.